Robert Fritz's Structural Consulting channel. What this is: we present full structural consultations, ones that change people's lives. The idea behind this channel is for you to witness a completely different understanding of the human condition. Here are a few things to know. Structural consulting is not therapy. It is an exploration of the underlying structures in the client's life that produces predictable patterns of behavior. What is structure? Structure is a combination of elements that impact each other. In these sessions, the client's structures are a combination of what they want to create, how reality actually is, and the various concepts that they have. The concepts clients have are usually hidden from them, but these concepts have impact in influencing the client's life patterns. A change of structure will cause a change of the client's patterns. The principle: the underlying structure of anything will determine its behavior. The process involves seeing the actual patterns in the client's life, which leads to a better understanding of the client's underlying structure. The sessions last between 1 or 2 hours. We suggest that if you do decide to watch them, do so when you have time to see the entire process. If you want to see more structure consultations, subscribe to the channel. And here is the session.
Okay, so what would you like to talk about?
Well, I have this structure that is always happening, that I cannot get what I want. And most of the time I think that I can get what I want, but I have to suffer first. And there is always something going on. So I would love your assistance to see what's the structure behind it. We'd love to know what's happening.
Okay, you sent me a story which I did your pattern on, and let's check it against some other stories and see if I have it right. So where you set out for something and you had it for a while, and then at the end it's not a good ending.
That's right.
Okay, so you have a story? Specific
a different story?
Yeah, a different story.
Yes. So
okay, no, don't tell it to me. I'm going to ask you.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay. So you had a desire?
Yes.
And an opportunity presented itself?
Yes.
And you got involved?
Yes.
And you found that there was more available than you originally thought?
Yes.
But then something changes.
Yes.
And there was some, excuse me, after that, there were some limitations.
Yes, and triggers.
But you did your best.
Absolutely.
But then promises were made.
Yes.
And not kept.
Yes.
And then you were out.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I froze there for a moment. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I thought it was me.
No, it was me. Okay, so choose a different story, completely different story. You ready?
Okay.
You had a desire?
Yes.
And an opportunity presented itself?
Yes.
You got involved?
Yes.
And you found that there's more available than you originally thought?
Yeah, could say so, yeah.
Yeah, and then something changed?
Yes.
And from that, there were limitations, or after that, there were limitations?
Yes.
And you did your best?
I did.
And then promises were made?
Yes.
And not kept?
Absolutely.
And you were out?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I think we have your pattern. Let me show it to you. Okay. So you have a desire, and then an opportunity presents itself. And then you get involved. And then you find that there's more available than you originally thought. So it's looking pretty good. But then something changes. And that's where you in the oscillation, that's where it starts to go in the other direction. And then there's
Mhm.
limitations, and you do your best to try to get it to all work and whatever. And then promises made also means that you set up some expectations at this point, which they're not kept. The expectations are denied, and then you're out. And that's the pattern.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay. So now our job is simply to find out, how come you have this pattern?
I know, right?
What do you tell yourself at the end of one of these stories?
That it was not for me, that I was not enough to fulfill the expectation of the other person or the project.
Mhm.
Also, I was also angry at the other person because they let me down.
Yeah.
They were promises, and then they were not kept, and then I felt betrayed.
Mhm.
So I just felt angry and like, oh, why is this always happening to me?
Yeah.
And
And
that the other person is
do you ever
what?
answer that question? Why is it always happening to you?
Yeah, and the answer is it's not. It was not meant to be for me.
Oh, you mean it was like fate?
Yes.
It's like God saying, no, no, you can't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it really wasn't God. It was the structure you're in.
That's right.
Can't blame God.
But sometimes we do.
Yeah, but then that's not what's going on.
Yeah.
So when you say that you're not enough, what does that mean?
It means that I didn't have the capacity or the capabilities or the attitude or the resources, or I
Mhm.
was not enough to fulfill the expectations of the other person or the project. So that made me feel that I was not good, like as a manager or like a friend or like a partner.
Mhm.
So there was something missing that I was not able to fulfill. So I was not good enough.
What do you think might be missing?
Uh, I don't know. It's maybe the expectations from the other person or the
Well,
project.
tell me about what you think you should be.
Um, I should please more. The thing is that I'm a people pleaser, so I'm trying my best to give everything to the other person or to the project or to work. So trying to be very efficient, very effective, very loving, uh,
Mhm.
to care about the other a lot. Uh,
Why is it that you have to be that way?
so I could fulfill the other people's or projects or whatever expectations. But it's like a glass that is this high, and I'm always feeling it to this
Yeah, that you're not enough.
level.
Yeah, that you can't do it. You're not enough.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I try to please or do as much as I can so I can fill it up, but I can't.
My question really, I got that, by the way. My question really is, I mean, there's two parts to it. One is that your idea that you're not enough, but the other idea is that you have to please people. And I want
Yeah.
to just go into that a little bit more. That's different, by the way, than just professionally doing a good job. That's a different kind of situation, because it's a professional situation and you get hired to do something. And of course you want to do a good job. That's different than wanting to please people.
Mhm. Yeah, well, in relation to the professional thing, it's like I don't have the capacity, or I don't have enough skills that I couldn't fulfill to achieve what I wanted.
So wouldn't you then be motivated to develop your skills?
Yes, of course. And I try.
But do you see that's not the same as trying to please people? Like in personal relationships, for example.
No, it's trying to please myself, because I am a training junkie. I consume skills or trainings a lot, so I can try to fulfill that professional thing, for example.
No, it isn't.
But there is
You try to do
always
that.
something.
No, you don't. Actually, the motivation is to make up for what you think is missing.
Yes.
Otherwise, you wouldn't be a training junkie. You would just be well trained.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You're right.
Yeah. Okay. So here's where we are so far, that you think that there's something wrong with you. There's something missing. You don't exactly know what it is. You do want to make up for it. You do want to try your best to overcome whatever that deficit is.
Mhm.
But you're kind of living with this notion of there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. And then and this comes back to.
Another picture I have from what you said is the way you try to please people is to be of use to them.
Yes.
To be of value, that you're worth something by what you give to them, or what you add to them, or what you do to serve them, or et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, absolutely. It's like looking for validation.
Yeah.
And I'll do anything for that validation.
Mm-hmm. Why is that important to you?
Because I have to be a good girl.
Why is that?
I think my mother said that I need to be a good girl and
Did she say
please
other
people.
things that you didn't agree with and didn't do? The answer is
Yes.
yes. So you can't blame your mom. It's something that you agreed with her about. It's not so much that she said it, it's that you also thought it to be true.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I'm just personally, I want to be a super achiever, an overachiever,
Why?
sorry,
Yeah, but why?
because I want to be successful, and the only way to be successful is to overachieve.
Only
And
if you don't have the goods.
but I don't think I have the goods.
Right. So it's not that, the thing is, you've got to not confuse your actual aspirations on the one hand with the strategy of making up for what you think you lack on the other hand. They really look similar, but they're completely different.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I have to be useful to people, or
Yeah,
to
you have to
be,
be useful, because if you weren't, they wouldn't accept you, right?
yes,
I mean, what's the motivation to be useful?
to be validated.
Well, no, it's not exactly to be validated. It's to be able to be accepted in the gang, be accepted in the group, or so the word validation isn't quite right.
Oh, to be included.
Included, yeah, to belong.
Yes.
Yeah, to belong. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that sounds right. It's I want to belong.
And it must start with the idea that by yourself, if you're just exactly as you are, you wouldn't belong.
No, I always felt like I am different, and then I need to compensate for my lack of abilities and whatever to
Yeah, I
belong to.
know that you have the idea that you're not enough, and that if in order to belong, that you have to add redeemable value.
Yes.
And it almost doesn't matter what the redeemable value is, as long as other people value it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Wow.
True though, isn't it?
Yeah, I never thought it that way. I always thought that I was not good enough, and I did feel that I didn't belong, and that's why I didn't get it. But I never put the points together, the dots together, and say, "Oh yeah, this is the same thing."
Well, another way of describing this, if in a relationship, if you were yourself, exactly as you are, they wouldn't want to be with you.
No. No, that's why I have to change.
Well, that's why it's hard for you to be yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to be someone that they
Accept.
accept.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Well, in reality, by the way, why would you want to be with people who, if you were yourself, wouldn't want to be with you?
um,
Do you get my question?
yes. Maybe it's because I really want to belong to that group. And I know that I am great on my own, but to be on this group, I have to fix myself to their expectations or
No,
their
you don't have to
attitudes.
fix yourself. You have to pretend you're not you. That's not fixing yourself. That's an acting job.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yeah, I have to.
I'm not at all what you think I am. I'm different. I'm just like you. I'm not like me. I'm like you.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, because I really want to be part of that.
Why?
And why?
Yeah, why?
Because there was a dream of mine that I would belong to that community or that project or
Because it's
that
symbolic,
employment.
though. It's not a real dream of yours. It's a symbol of you being accepted, given that you think you're unacceptable.
Yes. Well, that's everywhere though. Like how can I be myself on my own? We always need to be part of a community.
The way you do it is you're like yourself, and people who like you hang out with you, and people don't like you don't. And so then you know who your friends are and who your friends aren't. And then you have a community of people who actually like you exactly as you are, not having to change, not having to be more than you are, not having to add redeemable value so they get something from you. Otherwise, they don't want to be around you.
But what if it's like a job that I
It's
want
different.
to belong to?
No, but it's different. See, in your professional life, there's a role that one plays professionally to fulfill the job. And that's not about your personality, or it's about services rendered. You know, if you're good at your job, there's a good chance that you'll be earning the money that they pay you. And you might even improve over time as you learn more and more about how to do your job. You see, though, that's nothing personal. That's professional. You've translated that into personal. If they like me, then I can stay. Versus if I actually do a good job, then I can stay.
Yeah,
You know,
I do
it's
that.
really you have the wrong standard of measurement here, but it comes from the structure where you're always thinking you're not enough and you have to make up for whatever the inadequacy is. And so even in your professional life, you have that subtext going on. And then your focus is not directly on doing a good job. Your focus is on hoping they like you.
Yes, I do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in professional and personal life, and yeah, in my personal relationships too.
Well, in your personal relationships, there's not a job to do like there is in professional life. It's a different kind of arrangement. So, but do you find yourself unacceptable?
Yeah, in the past when I had this relationship where I was never able to fulfill that person, but that I love that person so much that I could have given up everything to
Mm,
be with him. And it was
yeah.
in another country, and I had to give up many of my luxuries in my country. Uh, I just did the same. I was compensating that I was not good enough as a woman or whatever.
Mm. I'm just going to tell you something, and I hope you take this in exactly as it's said.
Okay.
You're absolutely fine the way you are. You just don't happen to know it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do. You've got, you're not, the concepts you have are not about reality.
No, they are creations of my
Yeah, that's
head.
right. But they're based on conclusions you made about yourself. You've come to these conclusions. Here's how I am. You happen to be wrong about it.
Yeah, it's a distorted reality.
Yeah, and the thing about it is, you'll probably never think you're okay.
That's right.
Here's the thing, though, and let me draw this for you. Okay. And by the way, I can see this in your pattern too. Like here, an opportunity presents itself, and then you get involved. And you have to imagine you're getting involved with the idea that you can belong by having something of value to add. So the standard that you have is that already you're not enough and you have to add something. But here's what I wanted to describe. I'm just looking at the UPS person who's just dropped something off. Okay. So do you know my work?
Yes.
Okay. So you have a dynamic urge, your aspirations and values, and then there's reality, and then you have these concepts. And this ties together in a structure. I call this the causal set. And it creates a feedback system because it's always looking for equilibrium. So the closer you get to what you want, the more tension it is to move away. The more you move away, the more tension there is to move where you want. And that creates an oscillating pattern. Now, what I said was just now is your concepts that aren't going to change about yourself. You're always going to think you're not enough and so on. What can change is that the concepts are no longer in the structure, in the sense that it no longer matters what you think about yourself. And then you're left with structural tension. What that means, though, is that you have to better understand what you think about yourself, what the concept is. And because what you've done, I've described this as the ideal belief reality conflict. Is you have an unwanted belief. And I don't exactly know what the unwanted belief is, but at this point, I know that you think you're unacceptable exactly as you are. And then from that, you generate an ideal. What am I doing here? Wait a second. You're generating an ideal. And by the way, the ideal is to be capable of belonging. You know, it includes being a team member, being one of the gang, you know, something like that, fitting in, being a good girl. And then there's a conflict sometimes and the idea behind the ideal, by the way, is to hide the belief from yourself. And then, of course, there's reality, which often hits you in the face when you don't belong. And your pattern, you know, it just never lasts. In the end of your pattern, you're rejected. And that's the structure that I think we're dealing with.
Yeah, it's wow, yes.
I know you know.
When you're right, you're right.
Okay, so I want you to say a few things and try them out and see if they resonate in relationship to your unwanted belief. And the first one is say, I'm unacceptable.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Good. That's a good reason to say it.
I am unacceptable.
Yeah. Just say it a few times.
I'm unacceptable. I am unacceptable. I'm unacceptable. It's silly. It's silly because I don't think I'm unacceptable, but that's what my subconscious is saying, right?
Well, when you're in reality, you know it's not true, but you're not in reality in your concept. Your concept is we can see that that's one way of describing your concept based on your strategy. Trying to be acceptable starts with, I'm unacceptable, so I have to really bring something to the table to make up for that I'm unacceptable.
Yes. So just delete the
Well,
concepts that
no,
I
it's not
thought.
deleted. Actually, it's get to know it. It's really get to really understand that this is what you think, and it's not going to change. And when you no longer are trying to overcome it, then you can really, then it will no longer be in the structure, because the structure is designed to make up for what you think about yourself.
Yes.
Now, if it didn't matter what you thought about yourself, you thought you were unacceptable. Okay, and here's what I want. Here's where I am. And by the way, okay, so I'm unacceptable. And then, and then you start to really, that concept is no longer in the structure, and you're no longer trying to prove that you're not what you don't want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just need to put it out of the equation.
No, you don't have to do anything. You just have to learn what the belief is.
Okay.
In other words, if you try to reject it, it's still in the structure.
Yes.
If you just, and it's not even accepting it, it's seeing that it just happens to be what you think.
Mhm. Got it.
Yeah. Think about it that here's this thing you think. You don't like it. Why would you?
Absolutely.
And you got to almost break the cycle by teaching yourself that that's what you think. So it's no longer hidden from you. When you go into a situation that you might want to have social interactions with people and stuff, just know, look, yeah, I'm unacceptable. Now let's see if I'm myself, how it turns out. And because if you try to be acceptable, it's not you anyway.
Mm.
It's your actress thing.
Yes.
Okay, so say it a few more times and see how it goes.
I'm unacceptable. I'm unacceptable. I am unacceptable. I
Yeah,
am
and now
unacceptable.
listen, don't fight it. Just see it for what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
unacceptable.
That's
Okay.
what you think. Yeah, okay. Now that you know that, you still want good relationships, right?
Yes,
And you still want meaningful work,
absolutely.
and you want a good quality of life.
Yes.
And none of those things depend on what you think about yourself.
No.
It's a different thing. It's like, and by the way, in your professional life, this understanding will really help you focus on, okay, I'm unacceptable. Now what's the job and how do I have to do? And how do I know I've done a good job and all of that, in professional life. Hmm.
So when I think that, for example, on the job thing, it's like a social, if they promote someone, it's because they're more popular. It's not because of that. I used to work on cruise ships, and I could see that I could have been better suited for the job, but they gave the job to someone else because of the relationship with the person, the manager or whatever.
Well,
So
that might happen, but boy, does that play into your compensating strategy.
yeah, that I'm not yeah, it's still oscillating there. But even if I was
and you might be right about the reason why the person promoted the other person, they liked them better. That happens.
Yeah.
But that would just kind of evoke in you the importance of being enough versus that you think you're not enough, or whatever else you think. In the meantime, you want to do a good job, and you want to, if in that case, you want to advance.
Yeah.
You know, this is more about you being true to yourself, and the knowing yourself on the level of what you want, what matters to you, what your values are, how you want to live your life. And there's no games here. There's no, if they like me, I get promoted, so I got to figure out how they can like me. This is about you being able to be yourself and letting the chips fall where they may. And what will happen is the people actually like you will actually like you because they like you.
Yeah.
Well, and why would you want to be with people who, if you were yourself, wouldn't want to be with you? I mean, you know. Now, what you said before is you'd be completely alone, and you know nobody would. You're so unacceptable that not one person in the world would want to hang out with you.
I know, it's just sometimes we have that ideal group of people that we want to belong to, so we
Yeah,
do everything in our
but
possible.
here's the
reality.
mathematics of relationship. It takes two to say yes, and it only takes one to say no. That's what unrequited love is, by the way. I mean, if you could choose who to love, you'd always only choose people who loved you back. You would never choose anybody who didn't love you back. And all of those great songs would disappear. You know, all the
Yeah.
unrequited love songs, there would be no reason for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we love that person that much that it doesn't matter, and we suffer and we allow whatever they want to do with us so we can be loved and
I
valued.
know. And it doesn't work out, and then they leave, and then it's over.
Yes.
Just like it happened to you.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I was looking at whenever I had something, I didn't care. And then I was on myself. So, yeah.
And you weren't in the relationship. There was one of you missing. You were missing.
Yes.
You know, there was the person and your act.
Yes. That second person.
Yeah. So what's going on with you right now? What's occurring to you? How's it going? What are you thinking?
It's very interesting to know that besides that I felt that I needed to compensate myself with being a people pleaser or check all the boxes from everyone else. I was I was keeping myself small and hidden from other people because I wanted to bring out that ego self, that other person that was not me, that wanted to fulfill all those expectations because I wanted to feel valued and just accepted. So I've never been myself truly, because I never. I think now that if they knew who I was or who am I was never gonna be able to be included in a relationship, job, or whatever. So
well, listen, this is only one of your two patterns. You have another pattern that's an advancing pattern. So is there anybody in your life who actually likes you exactly the way you are and doesn't want to change you?
yeah, I think my husband.
Yeah, good. Good, because he probably wants to be with you because of the way you are.
Yeah, he does. He actually likes how I do
Now,
things.
probably, given what you think you got him fooled.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. But you don't. You're fooling yourself.
Yes. I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he does love me for me being Latin and doing whatever I do, and I wake up, I don't look pretty, doesn't care.
Yeah, because he loves you as you actually are, independent of you trying to manipulate the situation by bringing value and pretending you're not how you actually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually demand
Well, I just want to tell you
things
that,
of him.
see, that's very special. And it's in a way, it's a data point in your life, a very profound data point in your life, that you have one of the most important relationships in your whole life. And it really is unconditional on his side.
Yes.
And that's in spite of all of the structural crap you had going on.
Yes. And I think I have another structure that I need to suffer to get what I want. But suffering is because I'm not
It's the
being
same
myself.
thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not
Yeah. On
being
the one
myself.
hand, you got to earn it. On the other hand, you have to earn it through suffering. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's great because, yeah, my husband, we have had some hardships. We've only been married for a couple of years, and he's been there for me. So
Yeah.
even when I was not enough, and I told him that I was not enough. So we couldn't, I have fertility issues, so I'm not enough, but
Mm-hmm.
he still loved me that way, and we found a way to fix it.
Good. But the fact that you have that reinforces your concept if you're not enough. You know, it's if it weren't sad, it's almost perfect.
That's right. It's always the same.
Yeah.
But I still got him, still with me.
Yeah, but not because you've earned the right or suffered, but because you love each other and want to be together.
Absolutely. Yes.
You see how that's a very different structure.
Yes.
And do you see how in that structure, it doesn't matter what you think about yourself?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Actually, I think very poorly of me sometimes, and he doesn't mind, doesn't care about it, because
Yeah.
he sees me from who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally different.
So, what are you learning and what's going on right now?
I've learned that my life has been an act to be accepted, because I don't want people to know that I am unacceptable.
Mhm.
So I've been hiding from who am I, and not being myself.
Mhm.
And I have given the power to everyone else than myself.
Mhm.
And of course, there's another belief that I have, that I'm powerless,
That what?
that I am powerless.
Yeah, of course.
And that reinforces that belief as well, because
Yeah.
I can't be accepted.
Mm.
And I've learned now.
There's one more thing, actually, I wanted to add to this, is that you would measure yourself by how much you're able to give to others. It's almost like a comedian using laughter as a feedback loop. How am I doing? Or maybe a performer using applause as how they're doing. And for you, it's not, you're not adding these things to make up for what you lack, thinking if I do this, then I will be okay. You're always going to think you're not okay. But the measurement that you were using is how much could you add, meaning how acceptable can you be given that you're unacceptable. And that would be your way of, that would be kind of a feedback system to see how much you're adding or contributing.
Yeah. One example that comes to mind is that I'm a coach, and then if the client doesn't have a breakthrough every time, I feel that I'm not accepted, like it's gonna adopt me.
Yeah.
Because I want to make a difference in people's life as much as I can. So I
Well, that's also partly
being
your
accepted.
aspiration and values. You actually really want to do that. But then it feeds in, if you're in the oscillating structure, it feeds also into your self-concept.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now, see the way it's so funny. I mean, it won't be funny, exactly funny, but it's sort of funny.
Yes.
And you put your client's success on your shoulders as if they had no job in it whatsoever.
Yes.
You know, it's your job to coach, but it's their job to be coached.
Yes. Yeah. And if they don't have the breakthrough, I feel like a failure.
Well, sometimes you're not a failure. They didn't do the homework.
Yeah, that's their fault. But yes, you're right. I always put it on myself, like, oh, they didn't do it and it's my fault. And
Well, will you do that from now on, or will you be in reality?
no, in reality, I am doing the best I can, and
Yeah, and then that's up to
it's
them.
their job. Yeah, it's their job. And that actually rings another thing that I do.
But see
Since
though how that thing I described about the, you know, the laughter for the comedian or the applause, that's exactly what I meant, is that you're looking to them in terms of their breakthroughs as a sign that you've done enough to be acceptable.
yes,
Hmm.
yeah. And what I do sometimes I don't do work, or I don't attempt to look for more clients because I'm afraid of failure, because I don't know how to guide the other person, because I think it's my fault that they didn't accept me. So I just procrastinate. I avoid doing what I have to do.
But what's reality though?
Reality is that whoever is going to come to my coaching is because it's going to be attracted to who am I and what I can bring to the table.
No,
And
it's not reality. It's not about them coming about who you are.
No.
It's about, can you help them accomplish their goals?
Yes.
Did you see how you still think it's about you? It's how you are. It wasn't totally not how you are.
No, it's about them.
Look, if they thought you were the worst person in the world and they couldn't stand you, but that you could really, you were the one person who could really help them get what they want, they'd sign up.
They will come to me. They'll come to me. Yes. Yeah. I felt again on my trap.
Yeah. Which means that I think you haven't quite gotten it yet.
Well, because I thought that I had to be myself.
Yeah. And I asked you about the reality though. So I would say that in reality, in your coaching business, you coach, and sometimes they're advantaged because of that, and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, but it's not my fault.
Well, it might be your fault if you're lousy at it, but I bet you're not.
I'm not. Yeah. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, yes.
I want you to just say, I'm not enough a few more times. Just kind of teach it to yourself so that you don't try to fight it. You just see it, you observe it. You don't try to accept it. You just observe that's how you think. And then in the meantime, let's get on with life, with structural tension.
Yeah, I'm not enough. I'm not enough. I'm not enough.
Can you see in your life different times when that was the guiding dynamic in the situation you were in?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not enough.
Now you understand, I don't want you to try to change that, because there's
No.
the reason I don't want you to try to change it is because you can't.
Yeah, I
I
know.
mean, this
Beliefs
is
cannot
the
be.
thing that drives the self-esteem people crazy. What do you mean you can't? You just do affirmations or prove, all through experiences. And there's no real way to define a human being. So whatever you say is not going to be right anyway. So it's not, you've come to this conclusion, you're not going to change it. The only thing that could change is that you see that's what you think and it doesn't matter. The reason it doesn't matter is because you still want things, good relationships, good work. And you want in the current reality, and you take actions on behalf of those things, independent of what you think about yourself.
Yeah.
Not to mention, if you actually accomplish a lot of things, you get to say, for a person who's not enough, I'm doing pretty well.
Yes. And for someone that is not accepted, I succeeded.
Couple of people like me once in a while.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know belief clearing is it's not real, and I know.
But it's
I
real
love
to
this.
you. The thing about it is it's real to you.
It is, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not trying to say, well, it doesn't matter. it has mattered. And it's mattered so much that you've created a whole life compensation around it. And the strategy here is just to get so fluent in what you believe about yourself that you're not fighting it anymore and you're not trying to compensate for it. That's what I mean. You just get on with it. Okay, I think that. No, here's what I want. Here's where I am. Before you thought it was a direct product of the outcomes you would produce.
Yes.
And it's not connected whatsoever. I mean, it was connected in the structure you were in, but in real life, it's not connected.
No, it's not.
So how are you feeling? What's going on with you?
More relief that I know that I can change the structure. That I can acknowledge that I am unacceptable and that I'm not good enough, but I can still achieve what I want just by being myself. And whoever likes me, very good. If they don't like me, very good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I was actually able to get what I want when I was just being myself, like the example from my husband, right? He's there.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to change, I just be myself.
Yeah. Which means that you're there in the relationship.
Yes.
Not the actress playing the role.
Yes, my other me.
The real one, the real you.
Yes.
So I think we're done. Are we done?
I think so. Yes. Thank you so much. This was very helpful. To really see the structure that I was always tripping, and my oscillating structure. And thank you for teaching me how to put the belief here. It's never going to change, but I can just get the reality and what I want and create the tension so I can achieve what I want. Yeah, thank you. I loved it.
Thank you. What was it like for people watching this? What was it like going through the structural consultation with me?
It was enlightening. You get things very quickly, and you blew my mind when it's like, oh my gosh, he's right. And it's beautiful to have someone take you from the hand and explaining things to you, and you don't see yourself because you are in your structure, but it's always super helpful to have someone that doesn't know anything about you and to guide you through what is behind all your BS, all your bullshit. So thank you. It was great, and it was just an honor to talk to you because I've been following your work and I love it. And thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to stop the recording and then say goodbye to you. So thanks for being my client.
Thank you.